tutorial requires beginner to intermediate skills, takes about 30 minutes to an hour to prep and about the same time to apply, an hour. This is also a totally latex-free creation. If you're starting from scratch and want to get all the products we use here, it's gonna set you back a bit. However, if you got your basic colors and stuff already, it's not gonna be that costly. Let's start off by creating the eye, and we are using ellimorph plastic. You can of course use anything you got handy, including a ping pong ball, for example. And we just roll it up. And since this is a zombie creature, we're not making the eye perfectly round. We keep it mushed and squished like this, sort of like an ice cube. Next up, the teeth. And again, we are using ellimorph plastic, but this time we roll out a long string like this, flatten it out, and just cut out pieces and create tiny little teeth. You can of course use acrylic nail tips or anything like that if you don't have access to ellimorph plastic. Alright, stage 1 ready. Let's create those muscle fibers that is attached to our eye, and for that we're using 2 colors of red yarn. We simply tear it apart until it's all fluffy. And to mix it all up, we intertwine those 2 pieces, mix them up until they are connected. And there we go. One end for the eye and the other one to attach to our little prosthetic that we are gonna create. To attach the actual eyeball, we are using a sealer. You can also use a totally clear nail polish. That'll work as well. Then we smear down that eyeball, attach it to that yarn, and then smear it down even more and start overlapping and folding down all those little pieces of yarn, creating blood vessels to your ripped out eye. We are keeping our rotten zombie eye simple without iris or pupil, but if you want to add that, simply print out a picture of an iris and glue it on the eye and you're good to go. Next up, let's create prosthetics for our teeth. You don't really need a face cast to do this, but we have one, so we used it. You can use a flat surface as well. We add a string of glue, and then we simply add those teeth one by one. We create 2 separate pieces, one for the upper jaw and one for the lower. This will ensure that we can move our mouth later on. With 1 row of teeth ready, we add a string of glue on top just to secure them extra, and then we add additional strings of glue or arms, if you will, like this on both the upper and lower part. These will ensure we get that extra hold when we attach them to our face later. Alright, time to create a little eye cover on which we will attach our little fake eye, and we are using aluminum foil to simply shape a flat disc that covers our eye. And yes, for those of you who cringe, it's actually established that this particular metal is called aluminium, not aluminum. But it's okay, we won't hang you for saying aluminum. And as you see on that prosthetic piece, we are doing the same thing there. We're letting that glue go out way over the edges to create surfaces that help when we attach this to our face later. And also, we simply stick that yarn into that glue, securing our eye. You might want to hold it up to make sure it falls in the place you want, or simply just add glue until it does. And that looks about right. Now let's focus our attention to the paint job of our teeth, and we are doing this fairly simple. A little base of yellow to make them look old, adding that and smudging with a finger to make it look less painted on, more natural. Then we mix in a little bit of olive green there, the upper edges and lower for that matter, for added dynamics. Next up is black between the teeth to really separate them. Also makes this look much older. And last but not least, any kind of color you want that sort of looks like gum. Zombie gum, old gum, or whatever gum you want. Maybe you want a blue gum if it's an Star Trek related Andorian zombie. What do I know? And then we finish it all off with a layer of varnish to give them that extra shine. And we also add a little of that to our little eyeball there. And before we head on to application, let's check out Ambrosia Fairy Tale. I have a sneaky suspicion we have shouted this before, but anyways, it's worth shouting again. It's amazing creations, awesome work there, go check it out. And hey, look at our awesome prosthetics all peeled off and ready to rock. But first, let's protect those brows from those skin adhesives by applying a little bit of Vaseline or oil. Do a little funny faces and let's get on with it. Alright, since this tutorial is latex free, we are going to be using the nice prosthetic adhesive. And it's to be applied in 2 layers, so we begin with 1. We apply it. When it's transparent, we apply the 2nd layer. And when that's turned transparent as well, it's time to attach our prosthetic. And just for the sake of it, we add a dash on those edges of the prosthetic as well. Attach it gently. Be sure to be careful, don't get any of that adhesive in your eye. We leave that eye hanging and continue with our mouth prosthetics, but first we add a dash of black there to make sure we hide our real lips. And then the same process again with that skin adhesive. And slap on those prosthetics. Up next is creating zombie flesh, and for that we're going to be using a 2-part sculpting gel here with a component A and B separate. They are just soft and gooey, but if you mix them they start to set and you have a few minutes of working time with it. This also means that you have to be careful not to get any A component in the B jar and vice versa, or that will just ruin the whole product. So make sure you don't have contaminated tools when you scoop it out. Keep them clear from each other. Alright, we smear it on there and create our flappy, nasty skin. And you can do this with your fingers, with a brush, with a spatula, anything you like. So just let your imagination run free, create a mess. I have slimy goo in my whole face. In Swedish is "Jag slemmig gegga I hela ninan." Alright, sorry I couldn't keep it together there in the Swedish lesson, but that's how it is sometimes. Right, let's go for that paint job and we begin with a foundation. So we cover our whole face with that basically. And then we bring out that Mehron Makeup Colorset powder. And by the way, if you want to get your hands on any of those Mehron makeup products you see here on the screen, we have a nice little link for you in the description. Yep, there's yet another one, that 5-color Bruise wheel. Real good. Alright, so let's make this color happen. And to do that, we are mixing a deep red color with a deep purple color. And get this nice fleshy tone. And the cool thing with zombies like this is that you can basically go bananas with your paint job. You can do any kind of patterns or no patterns or organic messes that you want. We're going for a sort of streaky mess here on the cheeks, as you will see when we continue. Same goes for those edges. And speaking about absolutely nothing, what are your Instagram habits? Because when it comes to my personal account, Max Moser, I only check that like when I wake up and when I'm going to bed, and nothing in between there. So what are your habits? Of course, with the Ellimacs SFX account, that's a different story because there's action all the time, so you have to be active all the time. But yeah, do you spend all your day on Instagram or not? And you can never go wrong with a bruised eye. I mean, we actually have one that's hung out to dry already, but yeah, there you go. Now let's add some depth to our wounds, and for that we are using dark, solid black, because the deeper the wound, the darker the color. and the zombie has no fresh wounds really, so it's gonna be dark and sort of coagulated anyway. Yep, as soon as we added that black and all those holes there, things starts to look pretty cool. I know, you want blood, So alright, here is the Mehron Makeup Coagulated blood. So let's get that into those wounds. Vi är svenska fans allihopa. What? I know, Google Analytics can tell me a lot about it, but when do you usually check out YouTube and YouTube videos? At what hour of the day do you prefer to do that? Tell us in the comments while Ellie pours up some more fresh blood here and starts stippling it on with a stipple sponge. More blood. Always, not always, but a lot of times that's how it ends up here on this channel. Blood, blood, blood. We chose a nurse for this zombie look. You can of course choose any kind of weirdo, crazy creature character you want. And with the blood on the hands, you are ready. You have created a 100% latex free, nasty looking zombie. This came out really, really good. Yup, indeed. If you like this look and the tutorial, give us a thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe to our channel. Closing in on that million. Only 50,000 or so left. It's really, really exciting. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Take good care. Love you. Bye.